Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to the Packernet Podcast. I am your host and resident fanalist, as always, Ryan Schlip. Check us out online, packernet.com. Find me on Twitter, pack_data. Well, I don't really intend on doing a very long episode. I don't think I'm going to do an After Dark for what would be last night. But it's Christmas today, or for you, and I've usually, I don't know if I've missed one or not, but I feel like it's become a tradition to always do a Christmas episode, and I'm pretty proud of that, and I kind of feel like it's a day to just be grateful and a day to say thank you to you guys, and I wanted to make sure that I at least was able to do that. So thank you and goodbye. No, I'm just kidding. I know the Thanksgiving thing is more of a Thanksgiving thing, but I like to do that on Christmas anyway, just kind of run through some of the stuff I'm grateful for, Packers-wise and whatnot. But before we get into that, another part of the tradition, I try to keep, politics and my own views and all that kind of stuff to myself, but I think on Christmas it's appropriate, especially because I know how heavy it can get around this time. I know that this is a very lonely time for a lot of people, a very difficult time for a lot of people. I am one of those seasonal depression type folks, and I absolutely hate this time of year. I love Christmas, don't get me wrong, but I struggle through this stuff, the dark and the cold and all that. And I know a lot of people have a lot of things going on. In fact, we just had a loss in our family. My Uncle Barry just passed away. My grandma's brother, my grandma is now the last of her siblings, the last of 5, and so she is struggling, and obviously a terrible time of year for those types of things. So first and foremost, a special dedication to Uncle Barry. I've mentioned before, by the way, that I have had the privilege of being raised by or raised around some remarkable people, and I think Barry is one of the guys that would make that list. The ultimate extrovert. Everywhere we go, Uncle Barry is everybody's Uncle Barry. We'll walk into a place and we walk out and everybody says bye to Uncle Barry. They just start calling him their uncle. But he would show up to my kids' events and everything, and at least when he was able to, physically and whatnot. Great human being, and just fantastic that we were able to be around Uncle Barry. But again, it can be a difficult time for a lot of people. Everybody's going through something, man. But like every Christmas, I just want to encourage you to try to get to the root of what this season is about. If you haven't been or you haven't been in a while, I would encourage you to find a good local church. If you don't own a Bible, I would encourage you to get one. If you own one, I would encourage you to open it and read it. Probably told you before, but when I was in college, I would stop answering my dad's calls because every time he would call me, he wanted to talk to me about Jesus. And I was like, dude, if you want to talk, that's cool. But if you're just going to talk to me about Jesus every time, then I guess I'm too busy to answer your calls. And as things tend to do when you are a raging alcoholic, life didn't go well. I ended up moving back in with my dad, and I just cracked open that book of fairy tales, at least that's what I had called it, and I started reading it and realizing that I was very wrong about a lot of things. So, if nothing else, pray. No matter how stupid it might feel to you, I would just encourage you to do it. For a lot of people, and like it was for me, you get to a point where what the heck else do you have to lose, you know what I mean? And of course, let me also just throw this caveat out there because I know that again, people go through a lot of different things, and we had a friend of many of ours, Green Bay Packers friend on social media, podcasts, all that kind of stuff, that didn't win that battle of depression and whatnot. So if you're having issues, 608-501-0718, you can text me. You know what I mean? We're all cool like that. I got people texting me about barbecue and all kinds of nonsense. Trust me, I'm not going to be opposed to a dude I'm struggling text. You know what I mean? So there you go. And before we get into the gratefulness stuff, at least for the players, genuinely am grateful for all of you. I haven't really publicly mentioned this, but you guys have allowed me to make this a full-time gig. It's not a very comfortable one, but it is a full-time gig now. And I'm just extremely grateful for everybody that tunes in. I don't take it for granted, and every day I expect to just check the numbers and see it went to 0, and everybody just said, I'm done with this guy, this is stupid. And every day that doesn't happen is a day I'm pretty amazed. And I know it probably doesn't feel like it sometimes, but I really do my best to try to make it worthwhile. I want this podcast to be different. I want it to be more than just, a guy or a couple of guys getting in front of a microphone and just saying, here's how I feel about something. Sometimes I go off on stupid tangents that don't make any sense, and I probably go a little too deep or get a little too angry or a little too analytical or a little too philosophical or whatever train of thought I happen to be on. But I'm trying. I am trying. I'm trying to do something more and give you something a little bit deeper of value. So I hope I've done that, and I appreciate all of you. And I really do hope you all have a phenomenal Christmas Day. Hope you had a great Christmas Eve. Hope you're all being safe. And of course, that extends to everybody that doesn't celebrate it as well. But, this whole thing is not super meaningful to you at this moment. So, just hang in there. By the way, the only reason I'm doing any of this is to butter you up so that if any of you win that Powerball, if I can get a little bit of money, that would be fantastic. Did anybody win that, by the way? I think they were doing a drawing tonight. Yeah, 24, and 2 hours they're doing a drawing. All right, well, we'll see. I didn't buy a ticket this time, so. And if somebody wins in the gas station down the street, I will never forgive myself for not buying a ticket. All right, we're not going to take any breaks or anything today. Let's just run through some pretty obvious things. We there's a good amount of time spent complaining, and I think there's definitely a lot of things that we have to be grateful for as Packer fans. And let me start with some very obvious things. First of all, the fact that we are fans of a team that has been Super Bowl contenders, dominated their division, playoffs almost every year for pretty much my entire life. We're looking at about 35 years now of really good play, lots and lots of wins and celebrations. And, especially when you think about Christmas and stuff, I know a lot of people want to just talk about Super Bowls 24/7, but I got to tell you, man, when you think about what makes football special, I barely remember the Super Bowl in the 90s. I remember football in the 90s. I barely remember the Super Bowl. 2010 Super Bowl, I remember more. But even that it was a good day. But outside of that, to pretend that that is the full summary of my Packers fandom and everything else has been a failure and a waste is, if you genuinely feel that way, I feel very sorry for you. Being able to celebrate with my son, remembering celebrating with my dad, celebrating and having parties with my family, with, grandma and grandpa and aunts and uncles and cousins and everybody there, and all the food and the cheering and my grandpa getting up and screaming at the TV and grandma telling him, be quiet and sit down. Everybody, just the best times ever. The comebacks, the Hail Marys from Aaron Rodgers, all this stuff has been so fun. The wins matter. Well, it didn't amount to a Super Bowl. Bro, I don't care. That's such a terrible way to look at this. The money game from Aaron Rodgers coming back, beating the Chicago Bears. So many great memories. I'm grateful for all the great quarterbacks that we've had. And that includes Jordan Love, even though we don't exactly know what his legacy will look like. I really have no doubt he is a very good quarterback. Will he ever be as good as Aaron Rodgers? I don't know. Probably not. But hopefully in his own way, he'll find a way to just fall right in line with the Green Bay Packer greats. I'm grateful for the exciting group of wide receivers or specialists or whatever you want to call it. I keep having to expand it the more I think about it. Christian Watson, he's had some injury issues, but that guy is as lethal of a weapon as almost anybody in the NFL. What he does for our offense, looking forward, I understand, I get it, right? The next couple of weeks, we're all kind of huffing and puffing and all that. I'm not just thinking about 2025. I'm thinking about 26, 27, 28. I don't know what's going to happen with Golden. I don't know if he's ever going to be anything special or not. Maybe not. Maybe that's just a bust pick. Who knows? Still think he's far too talented. His hands, his route running, all that have been remarkable. But whatever. But the combo of Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Tucker Kraft, and Josh Jacobs with Jordan Love, my goodness. Oh my goodness. I'm grateful for Matt LaFleur. I don't know what his future is with the team. I think if we can win these games and get into the playoffs, we probably won't have to have those discussions, but either way, I'm grateful. I think he's done a fantastic job. I think we've had dominant offenses and pretty dominant teams in his tenure here, especially given the absolute turmoil we've been through, the number of turnover and working with some of the youngest teams, having to build a quarterback from the ground up, which, by the way, is pretty assuredly going to be a thing that our coach does not get enough credit for. Matt LaFleur built Jordan Love. It's not to say Jordan doesn't have any, that he isn't in his own way responsible for his success, but Matt LaFleur's the guy. He is the quarterback guy that worked on Jordan from the day he got here. He's the one that said, that's the guy I want. And then he took those tools and he said, I can fix all the other stuff, and he did. I'm also grateful for Jeff Hafley. I think that was not a guy that most of us were looking at, but he has been fantastic. I think he is an incredible coach. I think he's an incredible teacher. I think he's going to end up being a very good head coach someday, hopefully not soon, although probably will be by next year. But is also obviously a brilliant defensive mind. Everybody expected our defense to go to 0 after all the injuries, and it has done a fantastic job of maintaining. And that can't be easy to do. I am grateful for Rashan Gary. I know a lot of people don't like him, but I think that's part of the reason I'm grateful for him, because I don't think he gets the respect that he should. He has been a consistent contributor. He is a very good run defender, and his pass rush is always above average. When he was one of the best pass rushers in football, nobody cared. Nobody really, he was just considered adequate. And now that he is an above-average pass rusher, people think he's terrible. I think he has been the guy with the right mentality. I think he has been one of the guys that has been an example of what it takes to be a truly elite human being that dedicates their life to a football team. I think that's what he's done, and I think that's what he will do as long as he's here. I'm grateful that we have Lucas Van Ness, who seems to be emerging as a pass rusher. He was having his breakout year, and then, of course, as always seems to happen, got injured. His first game back was not super stellar, which everybody had to make a lot of noise about. Oh, great, I guess he's terrible, which is the dumbest thing in the world. And by game 2, he had, 17% pressure rate? Right back up in the S tier. The guy that's going to be on this team for some time yet. And, of course, the biggest one, Micah Parsons. How could any Packer fan not be grateful? Oh, you spent all that money and now he's out. Yeah, for this year. We're going to see him next year. He's still a Green Bay Packer. I don't know why this is lost on everybody. I swear there's a comet hitting that's going to wipe out the planet, and I'm just the only one that's not aware of it. It's that whole goldfish thing, man. Everybody just, I don't know, man. We got the next 5 minutes, and then nothing else matters, I guess. I'm grateful that we have Edgerrin Cooper. I know he hasn't had his elite year like he did as a rookie, but I still think he is a great football player, and I think he helps out our defense. And then we got those safeties. Evan obviously is injured, but Xavier McKinney is a phenomenal safety. We don't hear his name very often, but that's how you know he's a good safety. And Evan Williams is the guy you see more often because he comes downhill, but man, is he a fun guy to watch. I'm so glad and I'm so grateful that we have Evan Williams on this team. I keep getting annoyed with, I keep making comments, I guess I should say, or thinking in my head about, boy, I don't know, man, Brian Gutekunst just hasn't really been on his game. And then you look at it like, what are you talking about, dude? First of all, the free agency has been out of this world with Micah Parsons, Xavier McKinney, Josh Jacobs. Good Lord. Now, yes, there's also Aaron Banks, which I don't freaking understand. And I think Hobbs was a swing and a miss. But also Evan Williams, Carrington Valentine, Edgerrin Cooper. Yes, I'm going to put Van Ness on that list. How about Javon Bullard, by the way? How about Tucker Kraft? How about potentially Luke Musgrave? Oh, how about going out and getting Malik Willis, by the way? That goes in the win column. How about Jaden Reed? How about Dontavian Wicks, who is a 5th-round pick? For a 5th-round pick, that guy's pretty freaking good. I mean, honestly, as Brenton Cox as a UDFA, if we're just looking at 2023, 2024, 2020, from that range on, 2023 on, I don't know that it's been terrible. I think 2025 might be a little rough. But looking back and saying it's been a bad couple of years, I don't think so. It's hard to look at 2024 and say swing and a miss when you got Bullard and Cooper right off the top, and you got Evan Williams in the 4th round. Let's also not forget he went out and got us Daniel Whalen. Let's also not forget he went out and got Brandon McManus. And I'm having a hard time being upset about 2025 when it's Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. I know Belton hasn't done much yet, which, by the way, The Rock, not the wrestler, but our Rock with the crooked finger, he loves Belton. I think he's done 2 different videos on Anthony Belton and is like, it's a little rocky and there's some things to work on, but it's worth it because the guy's a stud. So, we'll see. He's been a right guard for like 5 seconds. We got Warren Brinson, who we haven't seen very much of. Colin Oliver, we haven't seen yet. Baron Sorrell, we haven't seen very much of. Also forgot to mention Devontae Wyatt, who was having a breakout year. I mean, there's some serious talent here. I mean, you can certainly nitpick some of the negatives if you want to, but I mean, there's not a single team or GM in the NFL you can't do that to if you're going over a 3 to 4 year window and saying, yeah, but what about 2 years ago, that 1st or 2nd round pick? Like, are you serious? And honestly, I still can't even really get mad about the Jordan Morgan thing because I'm more annoyed with the way that they're handling it. The Belton and Morgan thing, I mean, Mike Belton's been a right guard for 15 seconds. Morgan's played every position on this offensive line. They won't let him play his same position 2 weeks in a row without moving him again. And ultimately, I think his position is going to be a position he hasn't played all year. I think he's eventually going to be our long-term left tackle, and I think Belton's going to be our right guard. All that to say, I think we have a good football team. I'm very, I'm not super grateful for our offensive line, but I think there's a lot of potential there. We know Zach Tom is a stud. I'm very willing to be patient on Belton and Morgan. I don't know that Banks is ever going to be the answer at left guard. I certainly am skeptical that Sean Ryan is ever going to be a guy, but we got Elton Jenkins. We'll see if he ends up staying or not. But let's assume he does. If Morgan's a good left tackle, and Elton's a good center, and Belton's a good a good right guard, and Zach Tom is an elite right tackle, we got a good offensive line, folks. And let's not pretend the Packers haven't been very good at drafting offensive line. It's a very good team. Again, when I say things like I just don't know if we're going to have the horses to get to the finish line or through the finish line or any of that kind of stuff, I'm not talking about our team fully healthy, ready to rock and roll, 2026 or whatever. I'm just talking about right now a team that's pretty beaten and battered. I think at full strength, especially, the other issue is just guys not being able to be healthy, and so we have to change our game plan. If, let's just say in a perfect world, which will never be the case, but just for the sake of conversation, if this team was able to be healthy for an entire year and our coaches could just put together a game plan, like this is who we are and what we do, I think this team would freaking dominate. But we haven't been able to do that because we're always injured and because we're very young, and it's been a whole lot of experimenting all year. I mean, even when you're talking about Micah Parsons, that was kind of an on-the-fly, like, shoot, let's see how we can build this, And then you build it a certain way, and then you lose Van Ness, and that changes things. And then you lose, Parsons, and that changes things. And you lose Wyatt, and that changes things. And the offensive line on the other side is shuffling every 5 seconds. And then you lose Watson. And we also have to figure out what to do with Golden and Savion. But then we lose Savia. It's kind of just a freaking mess. And I commend our coaches for being able to navigate this freaking disaster of a season when it comes to injuries and also a lot of youth in terms of trying to figure out how to make this all work. And I'm grateful for that. But I think this is going to be, I can't speak for this year, but I think this is going to be an absolute powerhouse team if they can just get a couple pieces, get some stability so they can build a singular plan and stay healthy. I don't know that there's too much that can really get in this team's way. But anyways, I love this team, excited about this team. And again, I appreciate all you guys. I'm going to leave it at that. Enjoy your Christmas. Say hi to your folks for me. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Oh, come, Emmanuel. chase the darkness into a